MPhil and PhD from JNU. A known communicator, he has consulted over 100 organizations, including UN agencies on various aspects of communications, public affairs, political communications, strategic communications, social media. Over to you, Dr. Anand.
Good work. They have been doing like a great contribution to the society. They are making great contributions and they have contributed to the great progress and development of society. So we have to we need to refrain from stereotyping the definition of success, and we need to look beyond the notions, the regularized notions of success as well. So ma'am rightly pointed it out that every individual is very unique and they have their own methods, they have their own means of achieving whatever their objectives are. So success is something which depends upon that as well. So I would like to say that different fields, we may have different successful individuals, which we often hear about in healthcare, in education sector. Like in our district, there is a teacher in Addagudur Mandal. I would like to reiterate it. Like what happened was this year, like that particular teacher, he stitched dresses for students by himself. Like he covered 50 or 100 students by stitching dresses by himself. So he is a successful teacher. In the same manner, some teacher, some Anganwadi worker who is working in Anganwadi center and providing great services to the pregnant and lactating mothers, bringing about anemia to zero. She is also a successful person. So that is what definition of success means to me.
अमेजिंग। आपकी यात्रा हल्द्वानी से गुवाहाटी और फिर तेलंगाना और फिर यादाद्री कैसी रही, कुछ अपने बारे में बताइए।
Yeah, so I was born and brought up in Haldwani town, Uttarakhand district of Nainital district of Uttarakhand, and if I have to define my journey in one word, I would say it is surreal. Like if I were to meet my 15 or 16-year-old self right now, back to 2006, 2007, and if I were to tell that I will be studying in IIT Guwahati, IIT Delhi, two of the most prestigious institutions in the country, then I would be working as an IAS officer in one of the most progressive states of the country, Telangana. And more than that, I would be working in a district which is one of the most holiest places in the entire country, Yadadri Gutta Temple, Sri Lakshmi Narasimha Swami. So my 15 or 16-year-old self would not be taking it seriously, let me tell you, because at that point of time, my dreams and my aspirations were not that big. But over last 15 to 16 years, I have been very fortunate to study in prestigious institutions, to work in a state like Telangana, to work in a district like Yadadri. It has been a great fortune. So it has been a dream come true kind of a scenario. Like every day I'm living my dream. Every day when I wake up, I look forward to whatever things that I would be doing in different sectors, healthcare, education, and rural development, urban development. So it has been a fascinating journey till now. And I hope that it continues in future as well.
Great. Two technocrats driving the district to greater heights with some amazing programs. We come to some of these subsequently. Now, my question is to Pamela ma'am. You have served in various roles as an IAS, Assistant Collector, Commissioner of Land Acquisition and Rehabilitation, also Commissioner of Greater Warangal Municipal Corporation, CEO of the Smart City. Now, has there been any definite or defined approach to work? And my larger question is, has bureaucracy changed over the years? Or how do you, or you take baby steps, understand? Because each of these roles require a different set of skill set. It requires you to reorient yourself. So, out of curiosity and for the benefit of our audience and aspiring and young bureaucrats like Deepak ji, we would want to hear this from you, Pamela ji.
Yeah, so Dr. Navneet, I approach every role like I am one of those fortunate peoples who have been given diverse opportunities and for decent tenure, like 1 year, 1.5 years. So I have done, like as you said, so many in my short stint of 6 to 7 years, I have done so many different places and so many different job chats. And every time I am posted anywhere, the first thing is to admit that I am naive. I am a beginner. So, for example, it is GWMC or Greater Warangal Municipal Corporation. So I would like to look at it as GWMC for dummies. So, and then I am the dummy. So basically, I have approached every role that I have been offered as a beginner, because as a beginner, you have a lot of ability and openness to absorb things, learn, and also willingness to unlearn what you have acquired previously. And then when you are a beginner in any subject, you are open to the suggestions, to the feedback, to the good and bad from your surroundings. So that's when, because every job has different priorities and a lot of priority and non-priority subjects. In our short tenure, one year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is, we have to understand that we are public servants, and we are not masihas to resolve everything. So whatever is the current priority at that point of time, whatever needs to be addressed, it will come from the people or from the officers or from the surroundings, from anywhere, and that will come to you automatically, and you have to address it. Of course, government, especially Telangana government, is very clear in terms of its priorities and flagship programs. It reaches out to the length and breadth of the state, to every corner of the community. So that way we are very fortunate to have a guiding compass. But other than that, whatever is the need of the job comes to me, at least, if I may say so, because I look at it as if I'm a beginner. And I take suggestions from anyone and everyone, irrespective of the chair they sit in. So I've always believed in life that the value of the chair comes from the person who sits in. The value of a person doesn't come from the chair that he sits into. So that's how I've always looked at different role positions. And like I would say, more often than not, whatever deliverables or whatever accomplishments are attached with me, they're not mine. It is more often than not, it is my team's accomplishment. The only accomplishment, if I may say so, is I am good at building very good teams, loyal people, good people, identifying them and aligning them with my vision. So as beginners, every beginner makes mistakes, and I have made mistakes in many of my postings, some major, some minor, but it has strengthened me as an individual and as an administrator, and I have learned from it a lot, extensively. So the only good thing which can be attributed to me, if at all, is that I'm very good at building teams. So I invest intensively, exhaustively in aligning people with my vision. So there will be some requirements of the district wherein I align myself, and there are some things which I want to do for the district, along with the flagship programs of the state. So it takes a lot of effort, courage, breaking stereotypes, and aligning people with, shaking them up and saying them that, see, we have to do this, because ultimately officers will come and go, but the intermediary cadre officers or the public, they stay. So how to bring them on board is something which I put in a lot of heart and soul and time. And after that, whatever happens is, I think it's just generously attributed to me, but it's not mine.
Wonderful. So there are a lot of messages that you gave out. One should always be open to learning new things and ideas, and also unlearn. I think unlearning is as important as learning, else you get fixated with one set of ideas. Also that public servants are not messiah. So do not forget their human side. And there are many who are trying incredibly hard to do things differently, bring about change. And that takes us to our next point about good governance. It is no surprise that, of course, both of you make a great team. I'm sure there are others also who are equally competent and driven. And it is reflected in the kind of things that is being done. Also shows that your state, as Deepak ji said, one of the most progressive. Now, let's begin with the latest one that I read about this restoration of heritage step well. And this is also something that happens recently. So tell us about that. And what happens once you move on? Are you going to institutionalize this? And, to ensure that the great things that is being started. Of course, Deepak will come back after a few years to become the collector here. But by then, the momentum shouldn't get derailed. Pamela ji?
Yeah, so Dr. Navneet, regarding step wells, again, since my previous stint was as Commissioner Warangal Municipal Corporation, it was one of the most wonderful experiences I have had in my short professional this thing. So city beautification, development of urban infra was a major part of it, and heritage restoration as well. So I am drawn towards old things, and I think so is Deepak. So he is the additional collector local body. So and 6 municipal commissioners in the urban local bodies report to him. So I think he came up with the identification of the step well, saying that this is there, what can we do about it? And then we started planning that out, and it's a 600-year-old step well. In fact, this one is very is of great significance because all of us know about the Hussain Sagar Buddha statue. It was taken from this part of Bongir. So it's decades back, but this step well is 600 years old, and we wanted to restore it and talk about some history as well. And in fact, to be very honest, the municipal commissioner, the chairman, and local public representatives and the community played a great part in restoration. So we have just thrown the torchlight into the darkness, and rest of the path was walked by them. So, and you asked me something like, what about when we leave? So like I have already said, and I'll just reiterate, I'd never think about that. So what about when I am there, if it is doable, if it is necessary, it will be done, or I'll make efforts for it to be done. And if I leave, and see, dynasties have come and gone, great ones. Ultimately, everything has a shelf life, and there is a natural cycle of birth and death, just like for people, nature, also for institutions and everything as such. So if at all, if people do not want heritage to be restored or heritage to stay back when done beautifully, then it is up to them. Basically, our portfolio, public servant, where the public part is very important. If public thinks something is important, it is of utility, they will make it stay. Today, if we want to throw back our cell phones into the river and have a blissful life, we can't, because cell phones, internet is a necessity. So if something is a necessity, irrespective of whether we stay or not, that stays. More often than not, we are more focused on our role as change makers than on the change part. So irrespective of whether the change maker stays or not, if the change is desirable, in the process of evolution, the change will stay.
Wonderful. You both represent 2 different parts of the country. You come from Deepak ji North, and you come from East. And of course, both of you have gone to the South. Help us to visualize Yadadri. Of course, there is a big temple. There are these, fine step wells that one is going to see. If you were to tell to to an audience which is not knowing about this, somebody like me and others, how would you describe Yadadri? This is open to both of you.
I think Deepak will answer this.
So Yadadri district, last 1.5 years, 1 year, because of inauguration of renovated Yadgiri Gutta Sri Lakshmi Narasimha Swami Temple by Honorable CM Sir, the Yadadri district has gained prominence. But apart from that auspicious site, that is your Sri Lakshmi Narasimha Swami Temple, which in itself is a architectural marvel and a site which is deeply revered by people all across Telangana and apart from Telangana also, Andhra Pradesh also. So if I want to describe in short about that auspicious site, every day around 20 to 30,000 people visit that particular site. During festival days, around 80,000 to 1 lakh people, they visit that site. And there is something about that site which drive people to come to that particular temple, visit that temple, and the magnificence is something which cannot be described in words. The beauty, the grandeur is something which cannot be described in words. It is a must visit place. But apart from Yadgiri Gutta temple, Lakshmi Narasimha Swami temple, place is also home to some of the most stunning architectural structures. Like Bhongir Fort is there, which is a monolithic structure which is built which has been built for many years, like hundreds of years. Apart from that, we also have Rachakonda area where another stepwell is there, and Narayanpur stepwell is there, and where hills are there. And we also have a Kolanpaka Jain temple as well. So it is also one of the most revered sites of Jainism, and it is also frequently visited by Jain people. And more than that, being closer to Hyderabad, it is easily accessible. So people, what they do is, if they want to visit some temple or if they want to visit some site, they can easily come 1.5 to 2 hours. It takes from Hyderabad, from any point of Hyderabad, they can visit that site and they can go back. So that is something which is a luxury for us. And it is part of a undivided Nalgonda district. So it is well connected to the Nalgonda district, Suryapet district, and Warangal district and all. So Yadadri district is a place which I believe is a must visit place, not just for only Sri Lakshmi Narasimha Swami temple. It is something which is definitely a must visit, but apart from that also, there are many such places within the district which deserve to be limelighted, which deserve to be highlighted also. So stepwell is one which, as you already mentioned, there are many stepwells in our district as well. And one of the most, I would like to also mention that our district is a place which is symbolic of syncretic culture. So there is a stepwell in Narayanpuram, and closer to stepwell, just 10 to 20 meters from stepwell, there is a dargah. So during Mahashivratri time, both Hindus as well as Muslims, they visit that place in large numbers. They celebrate together, they enjoy together, they conduct festivals together. So it is a site for syncretism as well. So that is what makes Yadadri district so one of the most must visit places, not just in Telangana, but also in entire country as well. So
I would like to add one point. We are also we have Pochampalli. So Pochampalli is one mandal which is of prominence for 2 or 3 things. First is Bhudan Pochampalli, the core of equity in our freedom struggle. Acharya Vinoba Bhaveji, he started the land distribution, land reforms from Bhudan Pochampalli mandal here. And then Pochampalli is also recently, a year and a half back, it was described as a heritage village by United Nations. And it is home to very talented weavers and craftsmen. And Pochampalli Ikat is GI tagged. So a lot of people come from across the world for having Pochampalli Ikat here. So it's a beautiful district, like Deepak already described. It's a confluence of so many cultures and communities. There are tribals, so all the different practices are equally given importance in the mainstream culture practices as such. So
right, and also it is attracting people from far and wide. So you have your one of your initiatives has been school for migrant children of migrant workers from Odisha. तो उसके बारे में बताइए please.
So again, like we have a very active district child protection officer. His name is Saidulu. So what he does is he always identifies wherever there is a child in crisis, and he is the first respondent. So since I am from Odisha, many a times whenever there is a crisis, in few cases, like not just in this district, previously also we have seen कि जहाँ पे भी child labor होता है, so whenever we go and try to rescue those children, sometimes they are married as well, below the age of 18. So they get so scared because language ka barrier hai. These people officers speak Telugu and English or Hindi, and they are from Odisha, Chhattisgarh or Jharkhand. So what happens is sometimes they get so confused with all the official thing that few unfortunate cases also we have had in my previous posting where they have committed suicide. So Odisha is very close to Telangana. People come here, especially for the brick kilns and all. So so whenever there are some people who are from my home state, so I'm called sometimes to communicate with them, to see how it's going. Sometimes I also arrange textbooks for them from my home state. So this is not new actually. Since Deepak is not telling this part of the story, I'll tell. Initially, we were very hesitant to share what we were doing in the district, because I think I mean, every other public servant or civil servant is doing the same thing more or less. So recently also the same initiative has been done in Peddapalli by a TCP, a police officer. So it is nothing different that we are doing. But sometimes what happens is when we are projecting our stories, public tends to believe in us, and it strengthens the public systems, like whether it is a school or a hospital, and it brings in community involvement. Like community sees that, okay, this school is functioning well, so we might as well give in some CSR. So that's what happens when we are personalizing our small activities or tasks that we do. But I'm sure every public servant in their own capacity, they are doing the same thing. So it's nothing different that we are doing. So this school also, whatever you're mentioning, brick skin schools, 3 of them we opened recently, bridge schools. We call them bridge schools so that education is not missed out when they go back to Odisha. So teachers will come from Odisha along with all vernacular textbooks, and they will teach them. And this particular one, of course, we are hand-holding, we are providing the healthcare facilities, or we are trying to chip in through midday meals. But this particular owner, the brick kiln owner, he has sponsored the uniforms, the bags, the notebooks, just because he thinks that education or our efforts toward education will be appreciated by the district administration. So initially, both of us, like Deepak and me, we were very hesitant in beating our own drums. But now we are seeing that, like you said, nexus of positivity. Unless we start, so we will not find the network growing. So that's have been our endeavor. But like I already said, we have been very small instruments in the scheme of things.
And that is what Bureaucrats India strives for, to bring out these stories of positivity, to bring out these solid interventions which are unique and many regular. You know, there are people who are not doing even the regular things. Celebrate these and also create a ripple effect. I'm sure there are young IAS officers, young officers of different services who are wanting to learn from each other. So that is what it is being done. I also wish to tell my distinguished audience of Bureaucrats India that Pamela ji comes from what is called one of the most depressed regions of the country. Used to be once. It has naturally. I read sociology in JNU, and we used to have friends, still have. So that KPK region, Koraput, Bolangir, and Kalahandi, I'm sure many would be aware. Now, so she would bring with her deep insights. Now, I'll use my broken Odia to ask a question in Odia, because I have got a few messages also that they know you and they are very happy. On my Twitter, there were many compliments. So you're very popular, Pamela ji, by the way, among IAS officers. You're very, very popular. So Adivasi Bahula Jila Ru Apna Asi Chanti. Ebe apna jane IAS officer. अपना सरकार तरफ रू एल ए भालिया जिला रारो लोका मानका पेन काना करी बाकू चिंता करीबे. So you have come from a tribal dominated district for my other audience. Now you are an IAS officer. As part of the administration, what and how would you like to do for such people and areas? Pamela ji.
Yeah. So, see, so I am not a native of the district as such, but my grandfather and my parents, both of them have worked in that in the district, Koraput district, for almost 3 to 3.5 decades. Especially my mother, she was a research scientist with Krishi Vigyan Kendra, and I used to go out with her like almost 2 to 3 times a week to all the remote tribal villages where they would be carrying out their extension activities. I would beg to differ that it is the most depressed or something deprived or backward. See, again, like we are visualizing the problem or the concern or the issues, whatever, whatever way we want to visualize, of a different community through our lens. It is not as such. If you ever give me an opportunity, like probably after retirement, to go back and settle, I would definitely choose Koraput, probably, if I mean the situation permits me, because that's not a place which is depressed. People are not depressed. People are pure. The land is pristine, and they are. See, people who lack or are deprived will not be willing to give out. Koraput is a land of givers. They give out so much. So
I will just maybe for want of clarification, depressed once upon a time in terms of development, but similarly has been the tag given to the state that I come from, Bimaru. Now, all these regions and states, they have come out, and it's been a fascinating journey that we observe, as social scientists, as journalists, as commentators, So at one point in time, when I was in my JNU, it was, KBK zone was conceived, and the media, unfortunately, played that role of reinforcing that imagery, those difficult imagery. I mean, maybe they were trying to highlight these problems, but there were other sides of the story too. Yes. Incidentally, I have been to Koraput, the Koraput Central University, for an event. One of my first assignments with Grey Matters was with Koraput University. Sorry, I interrupted you. Please carry on. Yes.
No, so like since you are also from the sociology background, and particularly from JNU, so the concept of if we look at Koraput or KBK or Bimaru states as such, from the bottom-up approach of policy making, decision making, people's participation in PRI and all those things, so then probably we will also see the other side of the story. So that is what I just meant to say. Many times we want certain development. I mean, the people who are not living in that part of the place, and the people who are living in that part of the place may not have wanted that particular kind of development, and that's why it may not have happened. So who knows is one part of my my opinion as such. So the other question that you asked is, what would I like to do? I don't know what I would like to do for them. I don't know whether, I mean, especially as a woman, as a girl who comes from that part of the country or the state, I think if I live my life well, if I deliver through my life as a good example, the empathy, the compassion, trying to look at people's problems from their perspective, I think that's more than necessary.
Well said, as usual, Pamela ji. What is Mana Uru Mana Badi, the Tholimattu program? It's a great delight and inspiration, I'm sure, for likes of Deepak and other younger officers. When you sit beside a child in a school classroom, or you distribute bicycles, under the Prajahita program. And I'm coming to the topic that we chose is good governance. Yadadri leads the way. And we mean every bit of it at Bureaucrats India, because we have read, analyzed, and got very impressive feedback of the kind of things that is being done by both of you. So tell us about some of these initiatives, more than the initiatives and schemes. How are they being implemented and the kind of impact? Of course, Deepak ji, you can come in now, and you both can answer this.
So regarding the education, Mana Uru Mana Badi or Tolimettu, I think Deepak has been working extensively, much more than me. So he'll be addressing that part. Regarding the distribution of cycles, that's again very interesting, because one of the inaugurations under Mana Uru Mana Badi, it's a flagship program of the government. Deepak will be explaining in detail. During the opening of one of the schools, our Mandal Praja Parishad, MPP, public representative, she came to me and she said, "Ma'am, from this part of the village, there are seven girls who are commuting 3 kilometers each side to the school. Can we give them a cycle? Because in the past, under district mineral fund, there's a component for encouraging girl students for pursuing education. So under that, again, I didn't know that there was such a component. It was our district rural development officer who guided us. So like I said, I've been very fortunate to get what I want. So he once we were going on a field visit and our DRDO was there, and we saw that they're girls and boys walking a long way from the school, and the village was quite far. So what we did is we made them sit in our cars and we dropped them home. And then out of my curiosity, I asked them, can we do something about this? And then our DRDO suggested that there's such a component. We can give the cycles to the schools, and when the children move out of the schools, the cycle will belong to the next graders. So that's when we had distributed one batch of cycles, and again, no personal contribution from my side. That was. So our MPP, having seen that episode, she said, why can't we give 7 cycles to these girls? So exactly after a week, we have a very committed officer. Her name is Andalu. She's a Mandal Education Officer and Sectoral Officer. So she mapped the requirements. We have another MEO, Busa Nagaraju Garu, Ramesh Garu. So his brother, who stays abroad in US, he simply sent 7 cycles in a matter of 7 days. So once the request was raised from the MPP, next week the cycles arrived, and I was just there along with Deepak when Busa Ramesh Garu was there and Andalu was there along with the MPP to distribute the cycles. Not a single contribution officially or personally from our side, but whatever we wished for to happen happened, because community came together to address the request. So that's about it. And I would like to, hear from Deepak regarding Tolimettu and
do you also want to use this opportunity and platform to call upon all other who may be interested in participating in this very unique, program where we are empowering children, the future of tomorrow? About project?
Absolutely. Yeah, we will be thrilled. In fact, it rightly reminded me last year, sometimes what happens is I'm the ceremonial head of the district and he's like the functional head sometimes. So what happens is people come to me and then we work together as a team, and then he works out the modalities. So whatever he says, I agree. Whatever I say, he agrees. And that's how we have few key people, like we have mentioned, in different departments who align themselves with us, and that's when things get done. So last year, around 480 odd people, they have contributed 5 crores plus in terms of CSR, only and only for the cause of education. Beyond that, there's a lot of other CSR which has come into the district, but this is only for the cause of schools and government schools as such. So 5 crores CSR we got, and part of it also goes that we are projecting. Earlier also district was good, work was being done by our predecessors as well, but of course we are putting in a little bit of effort in projecting so that we can bring in more community participation and positive imagery for the district and bring in funds from the community. So that has been our endeavor.
So my team in the background, please note, we have to try and push this noble initiative so that we see more bicycles being rolled out along with other things, let's create that nexus of positivity. Deepak ji, over to you.
Yeah, so like regarding Manoru Manavadi program, so it was launched by Honorable CM Sir last year, February. So the broader framework of Manoru Manavadi, it enabled us, it gave us flexibility to mobilize enough voluntary contributions and CSR contributions as well. So if I want to talk about Manoru Manavadi, like it has 12 components. So it envisages total transformation of government schools in the entire state. So in phase 1 in our district, 251 government schools, they have been chosen for transformation. So the 12 components that government has emphasized, they include like major and minor repairs, then your electrification, then setting up of digital classrooms, providing high quality dual desk benches to students. So the schools, they have been transformed like anything. And all over the state, if you go across the Twitter handles of collectors and additional collectors, you will see how Manoru Manavadi has changed the dynamics of government schools in Telangana. So that was the purpose of government, and a simple intervention, like for example, providing clean drinking water to students. So that was done through providing a separate drinking water area. Then using NREGA, MGNREGS, we were able to construct toilets in schools wherever it was lacking, like wherever it was in insufficient number. Then because it is 21st century, like it is an era of digital education. So government has envisaged providing quality digital education to government school students as well. Because if we go to private schools, they have slight advantage with regard to infrastructure. So the government wanted to bridge this digital divide that existed between the government and private schools. So setting up of digital classrooms is also one of the important aspects of Manoru Manavadi. But more importantly, all the interventions that ma'am mentioned, your voluntary contributions, CSR contributions, it was because of the framework, the broader framework of Manoru Manavadi, the flexibility it has given to us. So like it has enabled us to reach out to the prospective donors and prospective donors to reach out to us. So if any donor or any organization, if they want to do any bit of contribution, for example, a group of donors, they may ask us to donate raincoats or a pair of shoes for students. So from that level to setting up of a STEM lab, so your state-of-the-art STEM lab with government schools. So we have been fortunate that we in our district and through NRIs and through positive-minded citizens, we have been able to mobilize them. We have been able to get CSR contributions from them and create an infrastructure which will benefit the students of our district. So this is regarding Manoru Manavadi program and the associated aspects as well. With regard to Tholimettu program, so Manoru Manavadi program, it focuses on, it is focused on qualitative and quantitative both. But major aspect is your infrastructure augmentation, digital classrooms or toilets or major and minor repairs, construction of additional classrooms. When it comes to the qualitative aspect, so for that, for improving the foundational level learning, we have Tholimettu program. So as we all know that because of COVID, since 2020, the educational levels of students were adversely impacted because schools were shut down for longer durations and they were out of schools. So their learning levels were adversely impacted. And we saw this in ASA report as well, that the COVID crisis, it had a negative impact upon student learning levels. So Telangana government has launched this Tholimettu community FLN program. So it is also one of the unique initiatives that government has taken. And under this initiative, what government is encouraging is we identify some positive-minded youth, positive-minded individuals who can volunteer and go to government schools and spend at least 1 or 2 days whenever they are free. So for example, a B.Ed doing student, or a diploma doing student, whenever they get time on Saturday or Sunday, they can go to their nearby school, the school that they want. Like, we don't have any rigidity that you should go to this school. If they want to visit a school in their particular village, they are free to go. So they go there, they spend time with the students, and they supplement the effort of teachers. It's not like they are replacing teachers. They are supplementing the effort of teachers. So what they do is they will go to those schools and they will monitor the learning levels of students. And they will also intervene wherever required. So in our district, we have been fortunate enough that because of presence of some very bright youth organizations, like one organization is Bharat Youth Organization. So in similar manner, many organizations are there. So they have mobilized around 60 volunteers. So every week, Saturday and Sunday, those volunteers are going to schools and they are contributing in their own way. So again, like the first question that you asked, what is success? So I would count them as successful people as well, because they are contributing to the progress and development of our society. And like for me, this is something which is most important, that because early years of a child, these are the most important years. If they are contributing towards foundational level learning, if they are able to make every student have that baseline, like have that baseline levels with regard to education, then definitely they are making a very significant impact. And in the process, they are also learning. So they have given us feedback, volunteers, saying that like, we are very grateful for giving us this opportunity. We learn a lot from students. They give us happiness. We feel very overjoyed while sitting with them. We are reminded of our own childhood, because they are the people who have studied from government schools. So whenever, like when we had this meeting with the volunteers, we asked, around 40 volunteers were present. We asked, how many of you are from government schools? So 35 of them were from government schools. So they have that extra zeal, extra motivation to contribute to the learning levels of students. So we are very thankful that the broader Manoru Manavadi framework and Tholimettu program, they have given us the opportunity to devise our own ways for augmenting the impact of those programs. So these are the two major programs that we are working upon in our district.
So for the benefit of everybody, so basically just translating what these two programs mean. Mana Uru, Manabadi means, Mana means ours in Telugu, and Uru is like village. So Mana Uru, Manabadi, Badi means school. So our village, our school, or Manabasti, Manabadi. So that is the idea of Honorable CM and the vision of the government to ensure that there is community involvement in schools. In terms of infrastructure development, as well as in terms of ensuring learning levels. So Tholimettu also basically means first steps. So it's a foundational literacy and numeracy program that the government has started. Whatever we are doing in the district is just a subset or a little deviation here and there, or a part of it there.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, but compliments to Deepak ji, and of course, great mentoring by you. A technocrat talking on social issues, social interventions with so much fluency. I mean, Telangana is good to have two very bright officers. We have had some audience intervention also. And I'll, for the benefit of our viewers, you're watching Bureaucrats India Dialogue on February 2023, February 15, 2023. And we have with us today two IAS officers of Telangana cadre, Pamela Sathpathy and Deepak Tiwari, who are DC and ADC respectively in Yadadri Bhuvnagari district of Telangana. We have Katikala Rajkumarji, has been very actively writing, and his first message was, thank you, Pamela Sathpathy ma'am and Deepak Tiwari sir. The district will never forget your services. He was also quick to add the list of places, you know, including Rachakonda Fort and Samastan Narayanpura Fort, and of course, Bhongir Fort, you know. Then he's thanking you both for developing Anganwadi centers and government hospitals and government schools, you know, heritage sites. So many of them want you to, so we had planned for 1 hour It is way beyond 1 hour and feel like we can go on and on. Karun Saragada, and he says collector ma'am giving, and this is very, very special. Collector madam giving importance to education and children every Wednesday, visiting schools, Budavaram, Budanam program, every Friday visiting Anganwadi centers, excellent. Again, Katakali Rajkumarji is adding again Tholi, Meti and Manodu Mana Badi program. Thank you, Karunji and Katikalaji. And there are some questions on similar lines. We'll come back to these. Now we come to, the most, one of the most exciting programs. But before that, some personal, questions from both of you, starting with Deepakji. You come from that typical BTech background. Technology, so this is not personal, I'm sorry. Technology has played a key role in enhancing transparency and efficiency in governance. Do you think futuristic technologies like artificial intelligence, what they call machine learning, Chat GPT, for instance, is getting very popular and so on and so forth, will they continue to play equally significant role in executing government welfare programs? Do you already, have you been trying your hands at some of these new technologies?
Yeah, so like governance, as you rightly said, governance has significantly, because last 2 or 3 decades or so, because of digital interventions, the governance has significantly transformed. The contours of government have significantly transformed. And but the principles of governance, they are the same, like accountability, transparency, neutrality, and all those aspects. So with regard to technology having an impact on governance, like I personally believe that technology can be an enabling factor with regard to delivery of services and improving quality of life of citizens. So in this regard, like we have seen various interventions in last decade or so with regard to technological interventions. Like if I talk about one small intervention that government has made for improving the learning levels of students. So the idea behind community movement is that every individual has to have a stake in child's education. So we are striving to involve parents as well. So through parent-teacher meetings, through Gram Sabhas, through education Sabhas, we are trying to involve parents as much as possible. So now how technology has changed the dynamics is, we have this app developed by government called Inti Inta Chadula Panta. So this app is designed for improving the mathematical skills of students. So if you go through that app, so it is downloadable on Android platforms and all. If you go through that app, it has a class-wise test, which are meant for class-wise, like class 1, class 2, class 3, class 4, class 5, for FLN, foundational learning and all. So for every class, day-wise tests are given in that particular app. And what happens is, we, through our platforms like parent-teacher meetings and education sabhas or gram sabhas, what we request parents is to download this app. And while students are learning at home, to just not to discourage or anything, just ask the child to solve some basic problems. For example, a class 3 child, we ask the parents to ask the child in front of him or her to solve 2-digit multiplication, like 25 into 35. And 10 or 12 questions are there. So that particular child has to solve those 10 or 12 questions in a time-bound manner. So time is also recorded, marks are given, correct answers are given. Then based upon that, the parent will be aware about where the strengths of a child are and where the weakness of a child are. And based upon that feedback, that particular parent can approach the particular teacher, headmaster or teacher, and discuss as to how to improve the learning levels. For example, if a child is facing problems in subtraction, so the parent can approach the headmaster or teacher and ask the headmaster to design ways by which this problem can be resolved. So this is one of the interventions that government has undertaken. In the same manner, we hear a lot about precision farming with regard to agriculture sector. Then we also hear about reducing food wastage with regard to food processing sector. In healthcare sector also, government is running Kanti Velugu program for like 18 plus population in the entire state. So technology is going to play a key role in that program as well. So the like visual deficiencies are identified in that particular program, and appropriate reading classes are provided to the citizens, whoever has identified visual deficiencies. So that program is also very much tech enabled. So to your question regarding technology driving governance, I am a firm believer that technology is something which is going to transform governance. And but we have to be very careful, because with the same platforms, technological platforms, we are seeing adverse news also, like students being cyberbullying and cyber harassment and all those things. So we have to be careful about all these aspects. We have to follow the spirit and letter of law, and we have to engage community as well for creating awareness regarding all these issues. If we are able to address those issues, then technology can be a great boon for driving governance in our country. That is what I believe.
Wonderful. Pamela ji, I had wanted to ask this from Deepak ji, but I would want to know your views as well on this. Governance naturally has undergone a sea change, not as much as you were a child, but certainly when we were growing up, from what I call red tapeism for citizens to red carpets being rolled out by bright officers like you today. How do you look at this change? I mean, there is, of course, the advent of platforms like Twitter and social media platforms certainly has enabled a more seamless, non-mediated conversation with your audience, that is citizens, beneficiaries. We have seen that during the COVID period. I was also doing a paper, an academic paper, where I mentioned many such interventions. You are far more, you're like a child next door, you're like a friend next door. People can access, a collector's office without much hesitation today. If I'm angry, I will just tweet by tagging Pamela Sathpathy, and she will make sure that, the garbage in front of my house for 10 days is lifted immediately. Now, how do you look at these transformations? Of course, you are growing up in that milieu with that kind of, but do you ever get time to reflect? Also, there are leaders like your honorable chief ministers who are far more, active and driving the bureaucrats to deliver the best. There is a competitive federalism that we see happening in India. So I said too many things, but just to know your thoughts, both of you, on the transformation and for good that has happened in last few years.
Like we always say, it's cliched, but change is the only constant. So as part of evolution of the society, or as such, like, part of evolution of the administrative processes, I think this is a very welcome change. Like you said, that from red tapeism to red carpet, probably both these thoughts may be a little exaggerated in their own right, but nevertheless, the spirit is absolutely well articulated. For example, social media platforms like Twitter or Facebook or anything for that matter. With those platforms, public is able to air their grievances, their complaints remotely. They don't need to visit us. And of course, with in a state like Telangana, we have grown for the public convenience from 10 districts to 33 districts now. So we are very close to the public. Like there's a good, very good infrastructure for integrated district officers complex. We no longer call it collectorates anymore. So all the district officers pertaining to the administration in a district, they come and sit in the same building along with the collector. So it's like a team. It's not just the collector. So public is able to come to us And then we are able to tag them to the correct officer. In fact, sometimes we are able to send our field functionaries along with the public to the correct corresponding section or the corresponding officer, and ensure that end to end their grievances addressed. Many a times we miss out also. But also it is not just the government or the administration which has grown towards the people. In fact, what I mean to say is people also have evolved as empowered citizens. So like it said, you ask the correct questions, you get the correct answers. Earlier, people were unable to articulate what they wanted out of the administration, or whether it is a land problem or anything. In fact, literacy was a major part of it, but it was more than literacy. They thought themselves to be voiceless. They thought themselves to be marginalized. Now people are not like that. They truly want us to be public servants in the true spirit, and they are very aware of what is their right. They believe that since they are, we are, and that's how we have to rise up to the occasion and deliver to them. And governments, I think in most states, are very sensitive towards the public's concerns and grievances. But yes, it's a never-ending case. Grievances, not 100% of any of the grievance can be resolved, but government and administration is always working towards the welfare of the public, is what we can say. There will be loopholes here and there, but if in the evolution process I would have to give credit to someone, it's not just the government, it's also the public, which has now learned to understand that it is a matter of their right to demand from us.
True. Deepak ji?
Yeah, so as ma'am has already described with regard to the the interactions between public and the public servants. So if you talk about the changing contours of governance in recent last few decades and all, governance for me, principles always remains the same. So the government, it will decide the priorities of any kind of programs and all they will devise. For example, in healthcare sector, so they may devise priority zero anemia, for example, let's say. So we as public servants, in consultation with the officers and in participation with the public representatives and people and voluntary organizations, we will strive to achieve those objectives, achieve the end goals that government has set. So when it comes to zero anemia, if I say, so through our field visits, through our review meetings, through our supervision mechanisms, if we visit any Anganwadi center, so we may see the records and all, where the issue is, why the child is stunted, and if we see the health records, so how many, in what village, how many percentage of women are anemic. So based upon those field visits, based upon those feedback, we can devise mechanisms to counter those fallacies. And then we can strive to achieve for the objectives that are set by government. So governance is ever expanding, and it is its horizons are always expanding. And as ma'am rightly said, that people now are very much aware about what their rights are. In ancient times, it used to happen that now we call them citizens. Earlier, they used to be called as subjects. So there is a huge shift as to how people are governed. So from being subjects means as per my understanding, subject is something you give them and they have to take it. There is no say or there is no voice of people in that. But now they are citizens. So it is more of a demand driven. It is more of a rights driven. So if any person, if he or she is entitled to a pension, if they are not getting it, they are rightfully coming to the accessible offices now. They are going to the tehsildars, they are going to the revenue officers, they are going to the development officers, BDOs, MPDOs, they are coming to additional collectors, and they are rightfully demanding that this is what is entitled to us, this is what is due to us, and this is what you have to give to us. So now the definitions of governance has changed because of this interaction and the communication between the people and the public representatives and the public servants. And this is what makes governance like principles remains the same, but definitely it has undergone a significant change over the last few decades.
Thank you. Very nicely put, and especially at a time when none less than the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister of India, is talking to the citizens on a regular, seamless basis. I think there is bound to be shift and change of the kind that we see. People, becoming citizens from being subjects. And like Pamela Ji was putting it very nicely, that, how people have become and evolved more to become more empowered today. That's fascinating and very deep insights. I'm personally gaining a lot, and that is why we are extending. Always a great experience to hear from those who are hitting the ground day in and day out. Now, about your favorite program, Snehita. Now, I understand that, and I was reading about it. Thank you, for the details. It's absolutely fascinating. Something that we all know should be done, but is not being done. Like, the Prime Minister was saying the other day that when I went to the Red Fort and spoke about cleanliness, people said, why should a Prime Minister go to this level? I think kudos and compliments to both of you for having started this, but I would want all of us to know about this program so that we can, again, create a ripple effect, create an axis of positivity. Your turn now.
My turn? Fine. So, okay. Dr. Navneet, so Snehita basically means your friend. Ours is a district which is very close to Hyderabad. So with the proximity comes challenges. So there's a lot of offenses which are related to children, but which do not get reported. So sometimes when we look at data and we think, oh, wow, we are doing so good. But I think it is also attributed to majority to underreporting as such. And that's what we found out. There's a child helpline number by government, 1498, and all sorts of mechanism is there in place, but children do not report. So that's when we thought that we should reach out to children and we should explain to them. We should first make a breakthrough to the schools. First we started with Zilla Parishad High Schools, which is the adolescent age group. And it was a conscious choice to make it a joint sitting of boys and girls together, because gender issues cannot be seen in silos. It just doesn't pertain to a girl or a boy as such. It is to both, like how they should see each other as two different genders, two different individuals. So that was the idea. And lack of data or underreporting was one reason regarding child abuses, why we started this program in the first place. So when the government is doing so much to strengthen schools, I thought this would also be a good opportunity, and we discussed it out with our child protection officer, of course, Additional Director Deepak, and other superintendents and education wing, and they agreed that encouraging data is actually very discouraging in terms of underreporting. And that's when we started this drive. In the first drive, what we did is like we would form teams. Again, it was a conscious choice to involve officers across cadres from all the departments, agriculture, veterinary, fisheries, who are not even related to the subject of schools, because education has to, like, it takes a village to educate a child is what we thought we should practice rather than preach. So almost 280 teams were constituted of officers, different cadres. Especially young officers at the junior level were taken so that they can connect to the children better, and children can connect to them better. And around 280 odd officers in 38 teams, they reached out to 35,000 odd children. maybe more, not less, for sure. So this was apart from the teachers who were there in those schools and apart from the public representatives. So this was basically a sensitization program. It started with 10 components, one of which was good touch and bad touch. And we went out to the children, and since it is a little embarrassing subject for them, we sought help of a local innovator in developing a toy. So the toy has sensors, so it whenever we touch any parts which or the body, or we approach where it is not supposed to be approached, the toy will say in Telugu that please don't touch me. So that was the toy, and through the toy we made the toy wear uniforms, like school uniforms, just to make it more relatable. And through the toy we started delivering our sessions regarding career counseling, regarding good touch, bad touch, regarding POXO, the rights of empowered childhood. Actually, it is there very well as a government mandate as Bala Sabhas under Patana Pragati and Palle Pragati, which are different flagship programs of the state government. Bala Sabhas are a part where the Mandal Praja Parishad at the Mandal level, the block level, and the Sarpanch at the Grama Sabha level is a head of the committee, Bala Sabha. But we thought, why not take them to schools as part of Bala Sabha? And that's how we reached out to children. And it was a surprising observation for me as a sociology student as well, that more often than not, we visualize child marriages as something which is done by the society and accepted by the children. But when we went to schools as part of Snehita, we realized that especially adolescent girls have taken it as a part of their fate. I mean, not as a part of the fate as such, they're happily accepting it, because it's like whatever the desires of an adolescent be, society is giving social sanctions to it. Like, it's saying, okay, go ahead with the marriage. You will get new clothes, a festivity, and a new life, and you can discontinue your education with all our permission. And that's when child marriages are not reported. So this was more the reason, that not to look at children as victims, but also to see them as a part of the problem which affects them. And through Snehita, we were literally their friend, and we reached out to them, talking to a girl about how early marriage will lead to early pregnancy. It's not just about discontinuing education happily and going back into a world of flowers. It's just like saying that you will immediately be you'll have a baby, and there will be domestic chores, and there will be no money, and how do you survive without social skills and education? And also we address the boys, saying that when a girl has discontinued education and she has no social skills, then what do you expect? She will be staying at home, and you have to tend to the requirements of the wife and the child, and you are also a child. So how do you do that? And that's where we started talking to them. A lot of child marriages were reported from the community level by the children, and very encouraging was something that we always talk in terms of addressing grievance, because grievance can be counted. We never talk about prevention, because that cannot be counted. In our district, of course, 35,000 odd children we addressed, but we have clear cases, 15 to 16 as such, who came to us and said that that so-and-so date, so-and-so officer had come to the school, they had taught us that this is good, this is bad. And we were surprised to see that in many cases, the near and dear ones, the relatives, the neighbors, were the ones who were perpetrators of child molestation and abuse as such. So now with this kind of program, children are coming forward, they're calling us through helpline, and they're telling us that then they're not shy. Like they come and they tell, so and so person has done such a thing, and we are reporting it to you. Kindly report that person to the police. And here, apart from the district administration, police also played a crucial role in rising to the occasion and doing what was needful. In the second phase of Snehita, honorable public representatives, MLAs, the MPPs, MPTCs, Sarpanches, all of them have conducted meetings at their own level, conducted the Bala Sabhas, and soon we would be launching the second phase of Snehita.
Amazing. So that toy, is that animated?
It's not animated. It's a plastic doll basically. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a little bigger size doll, like a little life size.
Okay.
It has sensors. It has embedded sensors.
I see.
So through a local innovator, we encouraged him. We guided him to. I mean, he took part of the innovation, but took responsibility for the innovation. But the look and feel and what it should speak, when it should speak, where it is touched, was the one which we gave. So
that will make for a very fascinating visual also, in case we can
Yeah.
record and post it, because I think this is one issue that we should. So we are always happy to assist and take the story far and wide. Deepak ji, I'm sure आप भी कुछ कहना चाहेंगे.
Yeah, already I think ma'am has described in detail and all. So to add to it, like Snehita phase 1, we have 271 schools. We have covered around 43,000 students in our district in phase 1, and 26 teams are there who were given this opportunity to spread awareness regarding the 10 topics as ma'am mentioned. 10 topics, they include good touch, bad touch, positive parenting, child bullying, then internet usage, safe internet usage, POXO Act. So 10 topics are there defined. So training sessions were conducted before launching of this program for team members, for ICDS members and all. And after that, they went to the field, they interacted with the students themselves. So one of the most heartening aspects that I would like to mention here is, like, in one of the SNETA meetings that ma'am and me attended. So the agriculture officer, she was speaking about her own experiences with regard to all these topics. So she was able to connect with the students so much that the students were asking her, why you are how did you become agriculture officer? Why did you choose this field? Can you explain can you give us your job description? So she had to engage with them. So they were able to learn, if we see right now what students have this, there is very little awareness with regard to different occupations that there are in our country. For example, your agriculture officer, or veterinary officer, or a horticulture officer. So all these aspects, students may not be that much aware, how to become a fisheries officer or horticulture officer. So through this program, by involving mandal special officers, district officers, district heads, we were able to create this kind of awareness as well. This was not, I would like to admit that this was not the intention at earlier, but it was a ripple effect kind of a thing. It created that kind of an impact as well. So by cooperation of all the district heads, all the mandal special officers, all the MPDOs, the block development officers, we have mandal MPDOs also, with the involvement of all these officers under the guidance of collector ma'am, and with the involvement of the child protection officer, the sectoral officer Andalu, as ma'am mentioned, the superintendent. We were able to launch this program. We were able to effectively, efficiently conduct this program, implement this program. And for phase 2, what we are thinking is, we are also in the process of this innovative sensor-based dolls method. We would be trying to communicate in better way to students regarding all these topics. Apart from that, we may also launch Snehita app in future as well, so that it can be accessible to all, and some kind of an interactive interface where students can learn about all these topics. And so this is also in the process. So in very near future, you may see that this app is also launched, and hopefully that we can be able to create an impact that we envisaged in the beginning as well. Because as ma'am already mentioned, that this is a gender neutral program. Both girls and boys, they face certain disadvantages, and because of COVID-19, these disadvantages have amplified. So social awareness program is the need of the hour. That is what we thought. And this program is a supplement to the existing programs that are being implemented. So already we have this girl child clubs. Already we have as you might be knowing, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. So all these programs are there, existing programs which are being implemented. So, but because of COVID, some kind of implementation lag was there. So apart from Snehita, we are also trying to drive these programs in the manner, in the spirit and letter of the program as well. So we hope that we are able to create an impact that we wanted. And as part of Snehita program, we contacted Voice for Girls organization also. So Voice for Girls organization, they conduct girl empowerment sessions in various districts. So they have worked in different districts earlier as well. So we contacted them, and they took the opportunity and they conducted 10-day girl empowerment sessions. And different days, various activities were planned, focused on different topics. So for example, every child is strong, every girl child is strong, every child is beautiful. So all these topics, the volunteers, 11 volunteers and 3 field coordinators were there, who were involved in 3 KGBVs, Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalayas. So they covered around 300 students, and they were able to create a meaningful impact over 10 days. So during the valedictory session, which ma'am and we attended, so we were able to see like how it enhanced the confidence of girl students. They were able to express themselves better, they were more articulate, and they were able to, like, all these sensitive topics we discussed in those camps, with regard to menstruation, with regard to this what is the notions of beauty and all, so that all these taboos can be broken, and they are able to emerge as enlightened, and they are able to emerge as a better students as well. So that was our intention, and we were like Voice for Girls, with support of Voice for Girls, we were able to do that for in a 10 days program. So that was also one of the part of Snehita program as well.
Great. My compliments and that of my team, for this unique program that, of course, we are going to write about it. We are going to be tweeting about it and trying to create awareness on it as much in my personal capacity and also through our platforms, the DCs of India, the Bureaucrats India, SPs of India. It's been a rare delight. I think we have just created a record of sorts, No interview or dialogue has stretched as long as what we have done today, nearing almost 2 hours, and feels like we can still go on. My energy is getting higher and higher the more I talk. Always an inspiration. One last word, DC ma'am, would you like to convey something? Of course, we'll have one more round of dialogues with you both. But for today, one last or couple of last things which you wish to highlight, please go on.
Yeah, so I think we have had a fairly extensive discussion. I don't think we have missed out on any points as such. But only thing is, like, through this platform, I would like to admit one honest confession. As civil service aspirants, often we used to read about serving serving IAS and IFS and IPS officers, and read about their good initiatives and feel so inspired, and sometimes we used to know about a few of them before joining the service and not know about the others. When it's been almost 6 to 7 years in the service, what I feel is, I think all of us are doing more or less a similar kind of job, similar kind of work, and delivering almost the same output. While few are projecting, the others may be a little restrained. Like I always thought that it's like beating our own drum. And to be honest, as municipal commissioner in Warangal, prior to that assignment, I was POITDA Bhadrachalam. So it was a tribal heartland, Bhadrachalam. My job was to reach out to people, go to their hamlets, see if the PHC is delivering or the school is functional, what is the kind of maternal health indicators and all. So my efforts were not needed to be showcased anywhere. And public used to come to me, and I used to go to them, and things would take a very natural this thing. So the same principle, like you asked, how do you approach each role? I approached my role as a municipal commissioner Warangal with a similar mindset that let's not speak about what we do, let the work do the talking. And it was an utter failure, because for the initial 2 or 3 months, because people expect you to you're visible sometimes, not I mean, apart from your work sometimes. And I took charge at the peak of COVID-19 pandemic, 2020 January onwards. And I understood that my tweets or my sending out what has been done through the district administration or the municipal corporation is building confidence in public. That was one part. So like you said, we have to speak out what we are doing. And of course, we also got a lot of CSR, because people thought that, okay, if we give to this officer, it goes to the right place where we wanted to reach. That was the other part of it. But as Municipal Commissioner Warangal, we could show our work in a newly developed junction, or a beautification of a library or a school, or because deliverables will come fast, like parks and whatnot. But as collector, it is very difficult. You cannot have, you have a lot of different departments, and you cannot have deliverables, instant deliverables to showcase every day. And that's where, as Municipal Commissioner Warangal, there's hardly one picture of me in the official Twitter handle. But as collector Yadadri, again, that was a change of paradigm of projecting our work. Now, I was hesitant earlier to express what we were doing, but I have realized that if I tweet about a picture, or I share about a teacher or a doctor who is doing good work, people sometimes tend to be oblivious to it. But when there is an additional collector, local body, or there is a collector standing next to the doctor and the teacher, and everywhere there's our face prima facie visible, people tend to associate with us. And so like I can say, to whether you call it trying to build a positive imagery of the district, or beating our own drum of what good we have done, we have been doing this way. I don't know any other way of doing it. But always an honest believer that if things are done in the right intention, ultimately they will be understood. They may not be understood along the way, but ultimately they will be understood. So, so with that good intention, I have always believed that there is no such thing as bad luck. There may be a hard luck, where you get things with a lot of difficulty, but you get it anyhow. If you are sincere, and I mean, if you believe in it with all your heart. So to all the people who are watching it, that's what I would like to tell them, that whatever you are doing, wherever you are, whether as an Anganwadi teacher, or whether as a doctor, or as an aspiring civil servant, as a research scientist working in all invisibility, if you are truly doing your work with all your heart, and your intention is for the greater good, it will materialize. So I think I have sounded more like a philosopher than an administrator, but yeah, that's what I do believe in.
That is very important. You combine the best of, two very distinctive ideas that we all grew up with, good governance and good philosophy. I think that is what making so much of progress in Yadadri. As far as spreading good information, always count on us, count on Bureaucrats India. My dear friends, you were watching Bureaucrats India dialogue with two very bright and driven and passionate officers of the Telangana cadre, Pamela Sathpathy and Deepak Tiwari, both IAS officers in the Yadadri district, serving as district collector and additional district collector local bodies. We are present on Twitter, Facebook, Insta, and you must follow us if you get to see and read more good stories about such bureaucratic interventions, which are bringing definitive and enduring changes in people's lives. Our Twitter handle is Bureaucrats INT, and the other one is DCs of India, both with a blue check mark. Pamela ji, Deepak ji, a great delight. So Snehita is designed in Yadadri. It is an indigenous program, right? It is exclusive to, it is your brainchild. I'm sure there are others who are going to get inspired by this program. Thank you very much. My best wishes. Deepak ji, I'm the first one to follow you on your Twitter handle. And you must treat me when we meet. Always a delight knowing bright officers like you. Let us keep in touch, continue to work to spread good information and good governance stories. Thank you all very much. But
I would
not
like to
before.
add one last. I would like to add one last.
Yes, please.
It has been an honor speaking with you, and since the day you reached out, we were looking forward to this interaction. And just one last message that I want to pass to the aspirants and people who are watching this, watching this, speaking us, talking about various issues and all. Like when I was an aspirant as well, I used to when I used to hear interviews of existing collectors or commissioners, I used to get overwhelmed. Like, how will I be able to reach that level? But to all the aspirants, I would like to say that perseverance is the key. So you have to persevere, you have to keep working hard, you have to be aware about all the things and all. There may be certain setbacks, like some attempts you may not be able to qualify prelims, some attempts you not be able to qualify mains, but you have to believe in your abilities. And definitely once you believe in your abilities, things will fall in place. So like professional setup, ma'am is there, a very great support system is there in form of collector ma'am and all the officers. So I was very fortunate that from a very young age, I have had a very great personal support system also. My parents, now my family, my wife, and my in-laws and all. So now also, because of the great support system, we are able to deliver on all these things. So I would like to say to aspirants that work hard, study hard, keep working, and have that perseverance, and take support of your support system, your parents, your family members. Definitely you are going to succeed. And keep following channels like DCs of India, Bureaucrats of India. And like I would like to admit that many of the articles that I read in DCs of India, Bureaucrats of India, they inspire me also. Like 22 officers stories which were published in Bureaucrats of India, 22 for 2022. So I read all the officers' contribution. I shared it with ma'am also. Like these are the works that they are doing. Maybe something of this kind we can do in our district also. So thank you for highlighting those stories, and we look forward to more of interactions. It has been a very fruitful conversation, meaningful conversation, and we got to learn a lot from you and your team and your Twitter handles also. And I hope that more of such stories, as ma'am already said, that the officers, 99%, or I would say 100% officers, they are working as hard and as passionate as us. It's just that their stories need to be published. So the stories which are published, they inspire us and they bring out the creativity in us as well. So I would request you to publish more of such stories so that we may get inspired and we can do like whatever to the best of our capabilities we can do. So thank you.
Pamela ji, you want to add something? मुझे लग रहा है आप कुछ और बोलना चाह रही है.
No,
No limitation of air time, no ad, no.
Yes.
It
So
is all our own.
There's this small little thing. I mean, two little things. One was that sometimes we think of success as something which we should chase, but like we never look at it as something which we have already achieved. In many things we might have achieved. For example, whatever Deepak or me or any other public servant is doing for that matter, it is a part of our job chart. Whatever we deliver in corporate terms, it should be just called as meets expectations. But there are people like today, I was just looking at a little bit of comments here. So Nabharat Association, Deepak mentioned. So there are people like Karun is there. So who are doing way beyond, I don't know what even that job chart is. You look at them anywhere, those young volunteers will be volunteering for any cause. So it is not in the job chart and they are doing. So if they are not to be termed as successful, then who else should be? So sometimes we have already achieved success, but we have failed to recognize it on our own. That is one part. And like I always believe, many a times those inspiring stories that we read, many a times it's just that something has been published and something has not been not, and some people may be little hesitant to hold back, but there is really great work being done by a lot of officers, seniors and juniors, and even many public representatives who do a lot of good work. And thanks to your platform for allowing us to bring and talk about what we have done. So this is a regular part of a job chart of a public servant. Any aspiring civil servant should just keep in mind that this is what everybody does, and there's nothing great about what we have done. And so if you are preparing for civils and you get through or not, whatever be the scenario, I think that is the best possible scenario for you. You will find your way. That's it. Thank you.
That is the very modest, humble and grassrooted Pamela Sathpathy for you. And of course, Deepak Tiwari. Thank you all very much. Thank you both very much. And I would be not doing justice if I didn't thank my team and members of the Grey Matters Communications, which act as partners for Bureaucrats India. My gratitude to Naina Jha, Pragya Lal, Pooja Rai, Rakesh Singh, Ranjan Rajan, and Vigya Dwivedi, and a whole lot of other team members. Pardon me if I forgot some names, for making this possible, always by working very hard in the backdrop. Thank you very much. We shall see you soon, because the kind of and the pace at which you are doing, I think we'll be compelled to come back to you soon. Thank you all very much, and Jai Hind.